Welcome to Jeiku no Nikki, which is Japanese for Jake's journal. I appreciate you for being here and listening to my very first entry. It really means a lot, so thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu. Today I'm just going to speed run my background and who I am, why I made this channel, and my plans for it, and talk about my plan on escaping living in my car the past 5 years and somehow getting to Japan. So please forgive me for looking at my phone because this first entry is going to, it's a beefy one. And I'll have to be looking at my notes a lot. To paint a picture for you, I'm in North Austin, Texas right this second in a Whole Foods parking lot, filming this in my car, obviously. But yeah, no, I'm Jake. I'm 32 years old. I grew up in a small town in Sherman, Texas. I struggled with severe depression as a kid. Lots of medication, lots of counselors. I actually tried growing up in school, but I wasn't academically inclined. I was a DNF student out of high school. Instead of going to college, I got addicted to one of the worst drugs in the world for 8 years. And after those 8 years, one of my dealers told me that I needed help and that I was out of my mind. And so I went to Florida for 3 years to get my life together and to go to rehab like 3, 4, 5 times. Once I kind of got my crap together, I started a YouTube channel while I was still out in Florida to document my life and my depression and my addiction and overall just my life, you know. In the midst of all of that, there was a lot of insurance fraud going on in the recovery realm in Florida, and I couldn't find a place to live. All the halfway houses were getting shut down, and so I ended up having to move in with a roommate that was in recovery as well. And it turns out I didn't quite get along with him, which led me to start living in my car over 5 years ago. And so stuck around Florida for a little while longer and then decided to come back home to Dallas, back and forth, Dallas, Sherman, Dallas, Sherman. Dallas was just a bigger city, and so I spent more time there. But then I kind of got bored of that. I was working a lot of gig economy jobs, like delivery jobs, and decided that I wanted to just take a leap of faith and go on an adventure while living in my car and documenting my life on YouTube. And so I lived in Austin, Texas for a while. That's where I'm at right now. I love this city. I've traveled to Denver and Colorado Springs, Colorado. But big deal, I went to California for a year in Los Angeles. Not just Los Angeles, but also San Diego, Santa Barbara. Spent a week or two in San Francisco. But basically I went there to grow my YouTube channel and just experience apparently the city of opportunity, I guess you could say. And that it is. And, you know, I did grow my channel. I got to meet some amazing people, made some new friends, blew my vlogging channel up substantially, went viral a couple of times. And basically things started to kind of slow down a bit, and, you know, I was lonely and decided to leave California to come back to Texas. And ever since then, it's just kind of been back and forth between Dallas, kind of my home city, and Austin. And I've just been working a lot of crappy jobs, honestly. And then basically half-assing YouTube and not doing much with it because vlogging was a big part of it. Working delivery jobs was a big part of it. Traveling, etc. I stopped doing the things that kind of made up the YouTube channel, and so it slowed down a lot. And so I became more depressed and was working these crap jobs and just trying to figure out what to do next with my life now that I'm 32 years old, kind of at a rock bottom. And so that's kind of a little bit about me. I know a lot of the people watching this video are probably from my last video on my actual vlog channel, where I talked about making this new channel. And so going off of that, I made this channel as kind of a podcast and talk show where I just read my journal openly to the world. Hopefully this page right here is not... Okay, good, it was blank. But I will be very transparent and talk to people about this journal. That's the whole point. No time limit, just very raw with everyone. It's essentially a podcast. There was just a lot of pressure with the Jeiku McCollum channel, good editing, all these different expectations of myself, staying on brand, and on topic. It was just a lot for me to deal with, but on this channel, this is just a fresh start for me where I can just be raw, be myself, talk about whatever I want without feeling any sort of judgment. And so with that said, I'm going to be talking about a new approach and what I want my life to look like, figuring out a way to escape living out of my car, and figuring out a way to get to Japan. So that said, here's kind of my plan so far, and please, if anyone has any recommendations, reevaluations, or any advice at all, please chime in. I am a normal human being that will reply to your comments and your Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you want to chat, you know what I mean? I also have a Discord. So on November 27th, a couple months ago, in 2024, I started learning Japanese. I've always been infatuated with the culture. Growing up as a kid, I even had furniture, posters. I slept on a futon growing up, basically. Big on Pokemon. I have 2 Pokemon tattoos, literally Raichu's right up there. I'd always get pumped up when anime would come up on Toonami. My 2 favorite foods in the world are ramen and Gohan, rice, But it wasn't until the end of 2024 when I started talking to 2 of my friends. Nanders, that's what I know you by, brother. Met him in Oklahoma, and he has a lot of experience with Japan. And then my friend Jim, which I met in recovery in Florida. And Jim, I believe, actually lives in Japan. And they honestly re-sparked that Japanese infatuation in me. And it actually kind of got me thinking, started to help me consider actually going and actually learning the language. The past couple of years, one of my goals has been to become more of myself. And when all of this kind of came into fruition a couple months ago, it just it almost felt like I was going through oh yeah, maybe this is something that I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Maybe this is some sort of calling. It just all kind of re-clicked for me. You know what I mean? I don't really know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like retracing my roots, and yeah. So as far as the plan goes, I immediately started learning the language. And so basically how I've gone about it, as a fresh newbie beginner, immediately started Duolingo, but also immediately did not like learning Japanese on Duolingo. I'll still do 1 lesson a day for Japanese on Duolingo, but I also downloaded a lot of apps, and so here's basically all of the apps that I use. I started learning vocabulary at first, and so I would just take all of the words that I wanted to learn. Like, for instance, I love running, so I would look up that word and learn it using Anki, which is flashcards. And so Hachiru is run, you know what I mean? Delicious, oishi, or umai, I believe. And so I've got about 100 vocabulary words on me now or so. And so kind of started with that. And then I got into actually like learning like the alphabet, I guess you could say, which is the kana, which is hiragana and katakana. Hiragana is native, katakana is not. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, bed. I don't really think there's a word for bed in Japanese. It's just bedo, and it's spelt out using katakana. Anyways, that took me a while. I learned hiragana in like a week. I'm a slower learner. And then katakana took me, it was way faster. I learned it all in a day. And so I got the kana down. And so with that, I was able to understand things a little bit better, I guess. I was able to read things, you know what I mean? Except for kanji. I'll get more into that later. And so I started doing all of that. I was making my flashcards. And then I was like, well, I need to learn the grammar. And I need to learn how to construct sentences. And so that's when I started to look into, you know, things like Genki. Which, I'm not going to lie, I still struggle right now to open this book every day because of all of the other things that I have to do as far as learning Japanese. I mean, it takes me an hour a day just to get through one lesson of Duolingo, do review for the kana. Because, yeah, I'm probably at like 90% of knowing everything fluently as far as the alphabet goes. But I still like to review it. So I'll do some hard kana review. And then I'll do Wani Kani, which is kind of just like this website where you can learn kanji. And so I'm going through that, and that's pretty difficult for me, learning all of the different radicals and how the radicals combine with each other to make this beautiful piece of art called the kanji, the meanings, the anyomi of it, the kunyomi of it. It's just a lot, and so I'm learning maybe like 2 or 3 kanji a day, which is probably, you know, not enough. I could probably be doing more. But I do that, and then after that, I have 2 different Anki apps. One Anki is for my personal deck, where I just put in whatever words I want into it. And then I have the OG Anki, which I have like the core 2000 vocabulary words that people should know. And then also just like some other decks to help me learn. And by the time I get through doing all of that, like an hour or 2 has gone by, and I've been doing that every single day the past like 2 months. But I feel like the most important thing is me just getting through this dang grammar book. You know what I mean? And so I need to be opening up this more. I have gotten a little bit into it. I would say 15%. 15%. But anyways, that's my road to learning the language so far. And then as far as the actual plan goes for getting to Japan, this is kind of my idea. Hear me out. Let me know if you've got any thoughts on this. It's obviously going to be a bit complex with me being a foreigner, me being an American, I guess. I could easily save up enough and I could go out there and live for up to 2 years. That is no problem if I wanted to go to a language learning school. So that's 2 years automatically if I can find the funds to do so. But other than that, I don't know, because I don't have a degree, and obviously Japan is big on education, I guess you could say. And I don't have that. And so what I was thinking was, you know, I don't even think I would be able to teach English there without a degree. I don't know. Let me know if someone knows. But I think my best bet would be to either find a working visa somehow, see if some lunatic out there would want to hire me to stay out there and work there, or to get the business visa. And essentially, I guess what that would be is like, you know, a business manager visa. And so I would have to make a business out there. I've always wanted to be a businessman. I've always, you know, been entrepreneurial. You know, I've always hated working 9-to-5 jobs, and I've always tried to work these more gig economy related jobs and work for myself. That's in my DNA. That's in my blood. And what better time to figure out how to make a company than to do it, not only to do it, but for it to be useful for me to be able to stay in a different country. And so, I don't know, my only thoughts on that right this second would be maybe something that correlates with the YouTube channel, or this channel even. Maybe like a merch company or something. But I don't know, maybe I'm planning too far ahead, you know? Maybe I just need to get out there for the first 2 years and figure things out in the midst of all that. I'm not really sure. I just know that I'm probably going to end up loving it out there and wanting to stay. So I'm just trying to weigh out my options here, and I'm just trying to think ahead because I have a nomadic brain that just wants what it wants immediately. And so, yeah, that's kind of the idea for me right now. Obviously, money is a massive issue for me. You know, I don't have any savings. You know, if you watched my last video, you know I just quit my my crap job, and I'm basically starting at ground zero right now. Literally rock bottom. You know, not even sure if I'm going to be able to pay my bills at the end of the month. That's not a lie. So over the next week or so, I would hope that you would subscribe and follow my journey on how I'm going to make all of this come into fruition. And one more thing, super important, I will be posting at least once a week on this channel, no matter what this year. That's one of my goals, if not even more frequently. It kind of just depends on what I've got going on. It could be, I could post 3 days in a row if I have something interesting happen 3 days in a row, or it could be once a week when, you know, maybe it was a boring week, but I take all of the highlights and I put them together to talk about it with y'all. And so that's about it.